Hi, I'm Evan Herman, and this is my amazing co-host, Stephen Gunn. Stephen, you're looking really good.
Well, thank you.
Just saying.
Thank you, I appreciate it. You're just about yourself.
Thank you. So we have a true friend of YBT today. He's an entrepreneur, a businessman. Tell us more about him.
Sean Kouplen is the president of Regent Bank, and he's going to bring us some great information about how you can leave a legacy. Stay tuned. Well, Sean, let's start here. If you would you give us just kind of a quick recap of the story, your story with Regent Bank?
Sure. I'd be happy to, and thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
So I was raised on a farm in Beggs, Oklahoma.
No.
And exactly, we raised cattle. And frankly, I was going to go back to work on the ranch, and it didn't work out financially. And so I ended up in a career in banking. And I was very fortunate. I went to work for a bank in Oklahoma City, got really over-promoted in my career into senior positions really early. And when I was 34 years old, I got a phone call from a friend of mine named B.C. Lee, who is a big ORU. We're here on the ORU campus, big ORU graduate, loved Tulsa. And he was a third-generation owner of Regent Bank in Nowata, Oklahoma. And the bank had been struggling. It had been having difficult times. And a good friend of mine had been his prior president of the bank. JP was his name, and JP decided to take another position. So my friend called me to see if I knew of anyone to replace him. And just during that conversation, for whatever reason, I felt led that my friend BC should do something else. It wasn't his passion. It wasn't what he enjoyed. It was really more of an obligation, being the third generation owner. And so I just made the comment when we were visiting. I said, BC, have you ever considered selling the bank and doing something that you're passionate about? He said, no, we can't do that. It's been in our family since the 1940s. It's part of our legacy. I just don't think that we can sell the bank. So I said, no problem. I said, if I think of someone that would be good for your president role, I'll call you. About 2 weeks later, he called me back. We went to lunch at Mimi's near 71st and Memorial, sat down, and he said, I talked to my sister. I think that we should sell the bank. We've been praying about it, and we want to sell it to you.
Wow.
And that's literally how it happened. And so I then had to talk to my wife,
Right.
who is, I tend to be a little more entrepreneurial. She's a little bit more conservative. And so I kind of broached the subject with her, much to my shock. She said, absolutely, we should do that. I know that you're ready. I think you'll do great. And so to make a long story short, we signed a contract in the fall of 2007. I resigned from another bank where I was serving as president, and I was unemployed. We started raising the money for the bank, and literally one phone call at a time. The purchase price was $11.5 million, and we needed another $4 million.
Right? Yeah.
It was
nothing at
all.
all.
A lot. It was a lot. We needed another $4 million to capitalize it, and the Lord really blessed us, and within about 90 days, I was able to raise $15.5 million.
Wow. That's incredible.
We purchased the bank on April the 1st of 2008, which is appropriate because it was right before the Great Recession, is what other people called it. It was definitely a depression from my perspective. We did fine for a few months. We were growing. It was very, very exciting. A lot of my clients were coming over. I was the youngest person to ever do this type of thing. I mean, it was just very, very cool. And the fall of 2008, suddenly the economy caught up with us. And everything, as you'll recall, just came to a freezing halt. People weren't buying real estate. They weren't investing in their business. And we were losing a lot of money. So we got into the spring of 2009, and I didn't know whether or not we were going to make it. And honestly, I had a miracle that occurred in February of 2009. I was in church. I was on the front row of our little community church that we attend, and the band was singing the song Healer. And they were saying, I believe you're my healer. I believe you're more than enough for me. And in my mind, I was saying the words, I was singing the words, but in my mind, I was thinking, I'm not really feeling a lot of healing. We're about to go under.
Yeah.
I'm about to go bankrupt. My 80 investors are all going to lose their money. So it was a very, very scary time. As we are singing, I hear the words, do you believe I am your healer? To the point that I turn around thinking that someone is talking to me, and there is no one there.
Wow.
And I lost it. And right there in this little church service, I fell on my knees. I just told God, I give up. I can't do this anymore. I'd been working 20 hours a day for 10 months. I was actually skinny. It was such a stressful time. And I basically just said, if you're going to save us, it's going to have to be you.
Right.
Let's pause right there. That's a great place. We're going to take a break. I want to hear more about that. This is an amazing story. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
This program is made possible by the generous support of OklahomaBanner.com. Oklahoma Banner is a locally owned company providing custom-designed full-color banners shipped directly to you. They offer a wide variety of banner products. Visit OklahomaBanner.com today.
It's been said that life is about capturing moments. So I encourage you to capture this moment right here and take a picture of my contact information to reach out to me later. It is most important when you find a real estate agent to find one with the ability to communicate with all involved, knowledgeable about the real estate market, and one's ability to negotiate contracts. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home within the next year, reach out to me. I'd love to see how I can help you reach your goals. Thank you so much. We're back with Sean Kouplen. Sean, you were just sharing the story about how you acquired the bank and the miracle that God does. Finish the story for us.
I'd be happy to. So I'm on the front row, and the band is singing the song Healer. They are singing the words, I believe you're my healer. I believe you're more than enough for me. I am singing the songs, but I'm not really feeling that because things aren't going really great in my life at the time. And I hear the words, do you believe I am your healer? Just as clearly as I am talking to you, to the point that I look around, there is no one there, and I know that I really for the first time in my life have heard directly from God. And I lose it. I fall down on my knees. I basically pray that to God that I give up. I cannot do this anymore. Nothing I am doing is working. Things are getting worse by the day, and if He is going to save me, our bank, these jobs, the investors' money, etc., it's going to have to be a miracle from Him. So this is on Sunday. So on Tuesday, I'm back up at our bank in Nowata. We've since opened a bank in Tulsa, but I'm at the one in Nowata, and our board secretary and investor relations person, we all wore about 5 hats back then, she is walking out the door with a stack of letters from me to our shareholders that basically says, I'm so sorry, this has been a terrible investment. I had no idea we were going into the Great Recession, but if we don't raise $3 million within 30 days, we are finished. And my assumption, because what happens in banks is your capital ratio, if it goes too low, the regulators can shut you down. So we won't get into all that, but we had to have the money. I didn't think there was any way we would get the money because everyone's struggling. Everyone's petrified. Stock market's gone from 14,000 to 6,000. Home equity's disappeared, etc. And I'm sure they're thinking, well, I don't want to put good money after bad, in this deal. So she's walking out the door, and our receptionist, who's to my left, answers the phone and says, Sean, you have a phone call from the U.S. Treasury Department. And I think, well, this is all she wrote.
That's a phone call you want to take.
Right. I think they've seen our numbers, and this is not going to be good. So I tell Sandy, I say, hey, Sandy, don't take those letters. I think that it may be too late. I walk back behind the receptionist desk, pick up the phone. The lady on the other end says, my name's Lisa Taylor from the U.S. Treasury Department. How are you today? And I said,
Depends.
that's exactly what I said. I said, well, Lisa, it kind of depends on how this phone call goes. And she kind of laughs, and I think, oh my gosh, we're dead. And so she says, the reason I'm calling today, she said, you may or may not be interested in this, but she said, I'm calling today because you're one of 7 banks chosen in the central United States for our capital purchase program, and we would like to invest $3 million into your organization. Up to $3 million is what she said. I said, we'll take it all.
$3 million, yeah.
The money literally was in the bank by 2 o'clock that day.
Whoa.
Saved us. It was the most remarkable experience. From that point, the bank was about $70 million in assets. We expanded to Tulsa, Oklahoma City, recently to Springfield. We're now almost $600 million in assets, fastest growing bank in the country for the past 5 years.
That's awesome.
We have 105 people now. We have
And
about
financially
40.
stable.
Yeah, very stable.
Right.
Very great regulatory ratings. Just blessed beyond belief. So
You recently, I think, you acquired your actual building there and here in Tulsa.
yes,
right?
we purchased. We now own our building at 71st and Yale. It's a 5-story office building there.
That's cool.
So I mean, it has just been blessings beyond belief.
Wow,
Man.
that's so good.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I think that's we're going to continue more. We got some more questions for you for sure. This has been so good. I could tell we could sit here all day, all day long, and probably keep going with this. But we are going to take a little break. We'll be right back here from our sponsors.
Hi, my name is Matt Moore, president of the Young Businessmen of Tulsa. I pray that this program is a blessing to you and that it inspires you to grow in both your business and personal life. Did you know that many people, both young and old, hold a mentality that their success is all about them? When in reality, we know that our success is dependent on how well we can serve and meet the needs of others. Owning a business is a huge responsibility, and success is very important for not only you, but also your employees and your community. If our community is going to continue to thrive, we need to be proactive in promoting a business community that's focused on being excellent stewards in all areas of life so we can create lasting legacies. Today, we have a fantastic opportunity in front of us that could really take our city and community to the next level. Each program we air has the potential to reach over 1 million households. But in order to do this, we need to reach an extra $1,600 in monthly reoccurring giving. YBT is looking for 2 types of partners, those who can pledge $9 a month and those who can pledge $19 a month. Not only will we continue to share our Christ-centered message, but in order to keep with the spirit of YBT, a portion of each monthly pledge that you give will benefit our monthly Pay It Forward projects in order to help give back to our city. If you decide to pledge $19 a month, we will have your name scroll at the bottom of the screen on each program as a proud supporter. Every pledge is a tax-deductible donation. Will you help me make a bigger difference in our city? YBT has a track record of creating better leaders, and we have raised well over $145,000 for community projects since our conception. Join us as a co-producer as we take this message and program across the airwaves. Help us steward a message that will literally change people's lives forever. To make your pledge, please visit www.patreon.com/YBT.
And we're back here with Sean Kouplen on YBT Lasting Legacies. So glad you're joining us. Well, Sean, let's talk a little bit about the. You have kind of a culture of mentorship that you kind of breed and grow within your bank and life. So, if you would just kind of share a little bit how's that worked with the bank productivity, and then maybe even life in general, just applying it there.
Well, I was a mentor to our university president at OSU, and he really changed my life and taught me some wonderful life lessons about how everyone is important. He made me feel very important at a time when I really wasn't very important in anybody's book. And so mentorship is something I'm very, very passionate about. We have a mentor program we recently rolled out within the bank where our senior officers all mentor. It's up to them, but typically 2 or 3 of our more junior employees. We spend at least an hour together a month. It can be lunch. One of mine is a happy hour hangout with one of the guys, and it's awesome. And we try to help them in any way we can, personally, professionally, and very, very cool. I have a couple of mentors outside of the bank that I spend time with that I really enjoy, and they're young, they have young families. They're going through what I view as really the toughest part of life, and so it's nice to be able to speak into their life and give them a little bit of perspective as well. And over the years, I've had a number of mentor groups. Ironically, I don't think it's ironic, I think it's the Lord talking to me, but this morning I had a young man reach out to me, and he's about the 10th in the last 2 weeks, to ask if we could do a mastermind group and all get together. And I think that'd be a good way. The challenge is scaling it, because you only have so much time, but it is definitely a passion of mine.
So how would, we have an audience, and typically we reach out to business communities as well as people that want personal growth. So how does that relate to an individual who's sitting there on the couch or the lazy boy recliner and, all right, I want that, but what do I do to get it?
That's a great question.
What's their step?
That's a great question. Here is my experience. When you ask people to mentor you, they are honored by that, and they will almost always do that.
Right.
I think the step is that simple. Find someone in your life. If you don't know of anyone that really fits the bill, ask your friends, family, if they know of someone. My grandpa told me a long time ago, he said, it's really easy to be successful, Sean. All you got to do is find somebody that is where you want to go and do what they did. And we don't have to reinvent this life over and over and over. People can bring us tremendous wisdom. And so my personal opinion would be to just ask. The story that I told in our earlier segments about the bank, one of the things I didn't say was a mentor named Gordon Greer, who is from my hometown and who is a very successful banker, gave me some moral support and advice through the darkest days of those times that really got me through. So mentors have been a very important part of my life.
Right.
That's good. Now, didn't you wrote kind of I guess just briefly, talk about the book. You wrote a book about kind of that, like culture, that lifestyle.
Yes. So I've written 3 books,
okay,
and they're really just based upon things that I feel like I have learned that I just would love to share with others. Yeah. And the most recent one is called The Abundance Mentality.
Yes.
And the abundance mentality came about because of a friendship that I had, and Steve and ours is very similar to this, with an individual who was pursuing me, wanted to get to know me, wanted to spend time, and I assumed that they were selling something. I was positive that they were multi-level marketing or something.
Yes. That's awesome.
And that wasn't the case. It has been a pure relationship. It's my co-author on the book, Mick Skovanec, and Mick and I have been buddies for years, and he's done nothing but support me and vice versa.
Wow.
And so we both talked about this, and I began to think, what would life be like if we were all in relationships for the other person?
That's awesome.
What if I was just really in it to help you guys and you to help me, and none of us have ulterior motives? And so that's really what it's about. It's a story about a mentor-protege relationship that's based upon helping each other.
We'll put information up on the website afterwards so people can check that out and see that book, because I love it personally. So
thank you.
Well, let's take another break, and we'll be back with another word from our sponsors.
This program is made possible by the generous support of the Demand Project, a nonprofit organization fighting to eradicate sex trafficking and the sexual exploitation of children. To find out how you can help, please visit thedemandproject.org today.
Could your business or organization benefit from TV advertising? KGEB Tulsa TV53 broadcasts from the campus of Oral Roberts University and reaches the greater Tulsa metro. Contact us for more info at 918-488-5300.
Do you suffer with migraines, seizures, neuropathy, dementia, or movement disorders? Discover an independent concierge neurology practice with treatment from a Christian perspective by Dr. George Gonzalez.
We're back with Sean Kouplen. Sean, I got a question for you. Talking about mentorship, Christian leadership, how has that influenced your community at the bank, as well as how can it influence others?
Sure. Well, to continue on the story, right?
Yeah.
This would fit perfectly. So, my mentor, professionally, Gordon Greer, when I was at the lowest of the low, this was prior to the miraculous saving of the bank.
Right.
Things looked very dark. I called him and asked if he would go to breakfast with me, and he did. He always would, anytime I needed to talk. And I'll never forget, I walked in and he was remarking about how horrible I looked, and I said, well, I feel twice as bad as I look. And
That's funny.
so I basically told him what I was dealing with, and I told him, I said, you know, Gordon, I'm having a difficult time functioning. I mean, I'm having a hard time getting out of bed during the day because I know every day just seems to get worse and worse and worse. And he gave me this advice that I would love to share, and it was that he had gone through a very similar experience in the 1980s when the oil bust and interest rates skyrocketed, and it was just terrible. And he said that what he would do is he would get up in the morning and he'd have his breakfast, and on his way out the door, he said there was an oval mirror just to the right of the door that led to his garage, and he would look in that mirror every morning and he would say, Gordon, do the best you can do today. And he would go to work and he would get cursed and sued and hit and, slandered, etc.
Right.
And when he came back home, he said he would look back in that same mirror and ask himself, did you do the best you could do? And if the answer was yes, that is all he could do. He couldn't control how other people treated him, circumstances around him. And when he told me that, it really helped me through. I thought, well, I can do that. I may not be able to, determine whether or not I'm going to be in an orange jumpsuit on the side of the street or in bankruptcy court, but I can at least do the best that I can do each and every day.
So, real quickly, I want to say something to our audience, because you're saying something. I want to just dig into that a little bit deeper. For people who want mentorship and to grow in their life, he said something very key. You can't control what happens to you, your situations, your circumstances, but you can control your response, which is exactly what he gave you the advice. You can control your response by doing your best. So take that as a side note, that you can't control your situations, your environment, but you can control the way that you react to those. So I just wanted to drive that point in a little bit further.
And that's the beauty of mentorship. So back to your original question, on both ends it is so valuable. I mean, I think that it impacts the mentor in a wonderful way. It gives you energy. We're meant to sow into each other. We're in God's will when we are doing that. Clearly it helps the protege by getting great advice and helping them not make those same mistakes. So I think it's just a win-win all the way around.
Right. That is awesome.
Good. So if I'm somebody who's mid-career, right? And that's what you just said, I think, could apply if somebody's mid-career, in-career, just out of college, and it's so crucial. But is there any kind of just quick first steps to try to make that shift in thinking? Like, is the mirror trick the way to do it, or is there anything else you'd expand on that maybe?
I'm a big believer in setting goals. I think that it's very important. I certainly think they should be prayerful goals so that we are making sure. I think it's very important to follow God's voice in your life. I think that many times when we struggle, it's because we're on our own out here and we're not really on the path that was designed for us by Him. And I'll give you a really great example. About 2 years ago, I began to get this feeling that we needed to start a devotional. And I fought it. And I talked to my team about it. They said, you can't do that. You'll get sued. I worked at a place where the guy prayed, and now he's in jail, or whatever. That's not really what they said.
Right.
It was almost that bad.
Exaggeration, but it felt like they were in jail.
It just felt like they were in jail, emotional jail.
Yeah.
And so I pushed through. The calling did not go away. We started with 7 people around a boardroom table. This morning we had over 20,000 callers
Wow.
into this devotional in
That's
34
amazing.
different states, and it's all him. When you hear
That's
the
great.
devotional, you'll hear how average my sharing is, but it is remarkable what you can do. And then again, back to that point, I think setting goals for ourselves that are in line with God's will, listening to His voice, and doing our very best, always
Right.
doing our best. I think everything works out in the
Yeah.
long run.
Well, we need to take one more break. We're going to come back and just wrap up this whole amazing time. So we appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Are you looking to feel and look your best? Every suit I wear is brought to you by Suit Connection. And right now, they have a 3-suit special for $299.99 with 3 free ties. Search for them on Facebook, Suit Connection Tulsa, or stop by at 61st and Sheridan. Are you looking for a different kind of fellowship? Come join us for our monthly luncheons on the second Monday of every month. Our luncheon is open to anyone, and we meet at Tiamo's, which is located in Tulsa at 61st and Sheridan. Every month, we host a speaker who is either a local business tycoon or successful leader. To be notified of future events, please text the word YBT 411 to 99000 or visit us at www.ybtok.com.
We're back with Sean Kouplen. Sean, thank you so much for coming in today
pleasure.
and talking about what mentorship and being mentored can do in an individual's life. And that goes into the overall subject of our TV show, which is leaving a lasting legacy. So what advice, or, because you've given a lot already, what would you say for the person that's sitting out there watching this? How do I start to leave a legacy? Not just financially, but in any area of their life.
Sure. So Jim Halligan, the president at OSU, changed my life when we were at a dinner one night. I said that I was thinking about going into a career in banking. He knew someone that was in banking, and he helped me get an internship. He didn't have to do that. I couldn't benefit him in any way. So I would just say the more we can focus on others, as opposed to ourselves, the bigger impact we are going to have.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
Well, thank you again so much for coming today and teaching us about just what it means to be a good mentee and also to be a mentor. And your example in your bank and how it's affecting the world and the community around you. Quickly, before we go, I've had the pleasure of meeting Sean at many different types of events. Now, you guys have a much better relationship than you and I do, because you and I are acquaintances. But I've seen you in so many different facets pouring into people's lives: business, political, work, church, so many different events. And I think that's a big takeaway, is that you can be who you are and mentor people in every area of your life. So I just want to say thank you for being a shining example of that and coming on our show today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining Lasting Legacies by YBT. Tune in next time, and you can go to ybtok.com for more information. Have a great day.